and also integration. So these are the some of the prerequisites what you are studied earlier. So I will just explain. So in the physics, you have studied the Newton's laws. So they are called Newton's laws of motions. Newton's laws of motion. So in the Newton laws of motion or Newton's laws, you have studied three laws basically. That is the Newton's first law, Newton's second law, Newton's third law. So these laws you are studied based on the physical definitions. Now, as a engineering students, because physics is the basics of the engineering, physics and mathematics. These are the basics of the engineering, means entire engineering program, it developed or engineering, this engineering is developed based on the physics and the mathematics. So whatever things you are studied in physics and mathematics, now we are applying those things for the physical problems to get the solution for the physical problems. The physical problems may be of civil engineering problem or mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, electronics engineering, whatever it may be the system. But these, these are the basic things. So in the Newton's laws of motion, three Newton's laws. What is the first law? First law, it states that if a particle or if a matter, if it is rest originally, or if it is under the static condition, it will be remains static condition until and unless it is disturbed by any external agency. That means any external force. Any matter or any body, it will be remains
Constant.
in the static condition until and unless it is disturbed by external agency. Or if your body or matter, if it is originally in the motion, it will be continuously remains in the motion until and unless it is disturbed by the external agency. So this is the Newton's first law of motion. Then the Newton's second law of motion, what it states, the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the external applied force. Okay, that is the rate of change of momentum. What is the momentum? Momentum is the rate of change of momentum. Momentum means mass into velocity. So if there is a change in momentum, that is, okay, momentum is mass into velocity. So if mass change in velocity v1 minus v2, so mv1 minus mv2, this is the rate of change of momentum. So rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the external force. This is the second law of motion. Then of course, you know, the third law, action and reaction are equal and opposite. Based on these three Newton's laws of motion, to have three basic principles. That is the basic principles. Basic principles. The basic principles are, one is law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass. Then second is law of conservation of momentum. Momentum. Then third is law of conservation of energy. These are known as three basic physics principles or physical principles. And we are making use of these principles to derive the mathematical equations to analyze the problems. Either it may be solid mechanics or in fluid mechanics or in the soil mechanics. So whatever equations we are deriving, we are using three basic principles. As you know already in the solid mechanics, what you have studied in the second semester or in the first semester, then in the elements of civil engineering subject, there you have studied the engineering mechanics or the applied mechanics. So there you are derived the equilibrium equations. Equilibrium equations. How you have derived these equilibrium equations? That is sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fy is equal to 0, sigma fz is equal to 0. Then similarly sigma mx equal to 0, sigma my is equal to 0, sigma mz is equal to 0. So on what principle you have derived these equations? That is called equilibrium equations. What do you mean by equilibrium equation? If you are doing it for the solid, so to know whether the solid matter or a solid is under the equilibrium condition or not. So if these equations satisfied, then you will say that the solid is under the equilibrium condition. Okay. If these equations are not satisfied, then we can say that the solid is not under the equilibrium condition. So we are deriving these equations in the solid mechanics, which you have already done when you have studied the engineering mechanics. So don't forget, because already it is 8 months. So I think you have studied all these things 10 months back. So please go through that, how you have derived and what basic physical principle you have used while deriving those equations. So now I will say, to derive these equilibrium equations, we are using law of conservation of mass. That is what is the statement of law of conservation of mass? This is mass neither created nor destroyed. Mass neither created nor destroyed. So based on this, we have derived these equilibrium equations related to solid mechanics. So similarly, in case of fluid mechanics, we are using this law of conservation of mass to derive the continuity equation. Okay, continuity equation. What is the significance of continuity equation? So as you know, the importance of equilibrium equations in the solid mechanics. So then what is the importance of continuity equation in fluid mechanics? So as we know, the fluid, whether it is under the flowing condition or under the rest. So if this continuity equation satisfied, then we can say that this fluid is under the flowing condition. Otherwise, it is under the static condition, like in the solid mechanics. If these equations are satisfied, you will say that the solid is under the equilibrium condition. If this continuity equation is satisfied, then we can say that the flow is continuous. Otherwise, this continuity equation, then in two-dimensional problem, this Q is equal to A into V. Let us, we will derive this in the next classes. How Q is the discharge, A is the area, V is the velocity. So this is continuity equation. So this is very, very basic equation in the fluid mechanics. For the analysis of fluid mechanics problems, first you should satisfy the continuity equation. Know that whether the fluid is under the flowing or under the static condition. So this equation we are deriving based on the law of conservation of mass. Based on the law of conservation of mass. Similarly, law of conservation of momentum, that is force is equal to mass into acceleration. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. That is, the momentum neither created nor destroyed. So, based on this, we are deriving dynamic equations in the solid mechanics, and we are deriving momentum equations in the fluid mechanics. Similarly, we have the law of conservation of energy. So, that is energy neither created nor destroyed. So all the basic equations what we are going to derive in the next classes, we are deriving based on these physical laws. That is the law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of momentum, law of conservation of energy. So please, you take your physics books and once again go through the whatever things you have studied about the Newton's laws of motions, then that is from the physics point of view. So now we will see how these things is to be used to analyze the engineering problem. Okay, so this is about the basic principles. Next prerequisite, the knowledge you need is differentiation of a function and integration of a function. So let us say a function y is equal to x square plus x. What do you mean by this? That is f of y, or y is what? Y is the function of x. Or you can take any constants, 2x square plus 5x. Okay. Y is what? Simply we will call it is as the function of x. Suppose this y is equal to 3x square plus 5z. So then we will call this y is what? Y is the function of x and z. Y is the function of x and z. What is the difference between these two equations? So here the y, it is a function of x. It means y varies only with respect to x. As the values of x varies, then the value of y also varies. Here the equation is 2x square plus 5x. So what is this x square? It shows that it is a non-linear equation. So suppose it is y is equal to 2x only, 2x plus 5, then this is a linear equation. So this is the physical meaning of this. Here y varies with respect to x, not linearly but non-linearly. It means that if you are going to plot a curve, this is suppose x, this is axis y, then you are getting a curve if it is a non-linear equation. That is y is equal to 2x square plus 5x. So substitute x is equal to 1, you will get y value. Substitute x equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. You will get the corresponding y values. Then if you are going to plot, you are getting a curve. So this equation, it is called non-linear equation. Similarly, if it is only 2x plus 5, then you can call it as a linear function. Linear function means what? Linear function means if I am going to substitute the value of x at the right hand side, x equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I will also get the value of y, but the relation between y and x is linear. That is, you will get a straight line. So this is the linear variation between x and y. This is the non-linear variation between the x and y. Now, how to find? So see, what is the value at this point? What is the value at this? Is nothing but the slope. Okay. So now I am taking a differentiation. Why differentiation is required? If I want to know variation of y with respect to x. Okay. If I want to know the variation of y with respect to x at any distance. So then I will take the derivative of this dy by dx is equal to 2 differentiation of phi is 0. So this is called total derivative of the function. Total derivative of the function. So when you are supposed to take total derivative of the function? When the function depends on only one variable. That is a single variable. Then you can take the total derivative and write it as dy by dx. Dy by dx. So this is called total derivative of the function. Then similarly, if it is function of two variables, if the function is function of two variables, that is y is the function of x and z. Here what we are taking to know the variation of function with respect to x and y or x and z. So we are taking partial derivative of this. Dava y by dava x is equal to 6x plus 0. Then dava y by dava z is equal to 0 plus 5. So like this we are taking the partial derivative. That is, we are using the symbol dava y by dava x, dava y by dava z, dy by dx. You should know when we should use dy by dx. Both are the derivative terms, but in some place we are using dy by dx. In same place we are using dava y by dava x. So why this difference? This is the partial derivative of the function. This is the total derivative of the function. So what is the difference between total derivative and partial derivative? Total derivative, if the function depends on only one variable, then you take whatever differentiation you are taking, that is called the total derivative of that function. Then when the function depends on two variables, then whatever derivative you are taking, the derivative of a function you are taking, those derivatives are used to call as the partial derivative terms. So these are the things what we are using for the analysis of fluid mechanics. So at least you should know how to get the solution, differentiation, total differentiation of a function, partial derivative of the function, then also integration. So these things you are already studying, and we are not repeating once again in the next classes. So that's why I am telling about these prerequisites. Before study of or studying the fluid mechanics subject, you should have at least knowledge of these things. That is the physical laws, then the differentiation, then the integration. What you are already studied in your first semester, second semester engineering, also in the first and second PUC classes. So please go through all those things. Then we will start now fluid mechanics. So as you know, the matter. So as in the physics, you have studied matter. What is the matter? Matter, it is a substance which consists of number of molecules. Number of molecules. So this matter we are dividing into two. That is the solid and liquid. Means this matter, it is in the form of solid or it is in the form of liquid. So in the liquid, again we have two forms. One is the fluid, another one is the gases. Another one is the gases. So the matter normally, what is the physics means physical observation. So the matter it normally appears physically either in the form of solid or in the form of liquid, liquid in the form of fluid or in the gases. So physically, whether both are same, solid and liquid. Both are matters, but both are not
No,
same.
sir.
Both are exhibits different characteristics. Different characteristics. That is, in case of solid, the molecules are within the known volume. Within the known volume, in case if the molecules are placed very close, then that matter is called solid. Okay, in the prescribed volume, if the molecules are placed very close, then even there is the void between the two molecules is negligible, then that form of matter it is going to call as the solid. And in the liquid, if these molecules are placed relatively with large space, with some space, then it is called fluid. Still, these molecules are placed with a larger space, then it is called gases. So, for this course, we are interested study on fluid. So, in case of the fluid is nothing but a matter. Okay, fluid is nothing but a matter, but the only difference is in a given volume, the molecules are placed relatively with larger space as compared with solid or as compared with the gas. So that is the basic difference between solid and liquid. Then the another basic one is the solid. The difference between solid and liquid is the spacing of molecules in the volume, given volume or in the known volume. If the spacing of the molecules is very close, then that form of matter is known as solid. If spacing of the molecules are relatively large as compared with solid, then that form is going to call that form of matter is going to call the fluid. So next, what is the basic difference? So the solid is relatively it is going to resist both tensile, compressive and shear stress. Okay. The solid can resist the external forces. That is tensile. The solid is also resist tensile up to the certain extent. It is also going to resist compressive forces up to the certain extent and also shear stress up to the certain extent. Okay. But liquid, it won't resist the tensile stress or tensile force, but it may resist very small tensile force. Okay, normally from the analysis point of view, so fluid will not resist any tensile force, but it can resist the compressive force when it is confined in a vessel or when it is put it in a container, then it is good in resisting the compressive force. But the fluid is very weak in resisting the shear stress. Very weak in resisting the shear stress. For example, let us take a solid, a two-dimensional solid, or it gets three-dimensional solid means it is like this. Okay. Let us take this plane. This plane is normally x, y, z. this is this plane you can take, and I am taking this. So now it is this is delta x, and this is delta y, and this is delta z, and this is delta y. So let us take this plane, that is delta z and delta x, two-dimensional plane. Okay. If you are applying an external force, then this solid body will deform to some extent. Okay. This is the external force F. Okay, this is called, this angle, this is theta, this is also theta. This angle theta is called angle of deformation. This is called deformation. This is the A, B, A dash, B dash. So A, B, C, D. So after applying this external force, this solid, it will take the new position, that is A dash, B dash. This is called deformation. This deformation, then once this force is removed, this solid will take its original form. So then this solid, that is called the property of elasticity. Okay, that we will say. But you can take the fluid. Suppose this is the fluid particle. Okay, this is a rectangular fluid particle. Then this is the, if I am applying the shear stress, then this fluid particle, it will take continuously new positions. That is A, B, A dash, B dash, A dash, B dash, so on, C dash. So this is called continuous deformation. So as the shear stress or the shear force is applied to the fluid, so it is continuously going to deform. So when this deformation stops, when this external force F becomes zero. Okay, it means this is the physical. When the external force applied to the fluid, then it starts deforming because it is very, very weak in resisting the shear force or shear stress. Then it starts continuous deformation, and this deformation continues until and unless the external or the applied shear force becomes zero. It means when the shear force is there, then the fluid is in the flowing state. Otherwise, it is in the rest case. So that is the second basic difference between solid and fluid. So the solid is very good in resisting the tensile force, shear force, similarly shear force. But fluid will resist the tensile force, but very, very little extent. And it will also resist the compressive force or stress when it is confined in a vessel or in a container. But it is very, very weak in resisting the tensile stress, shear stress. Or when the shear force is applied, then the fluid starts deforming. And as this deformation is continuous till the shear force exists. Okay. Once the shear force vanishes, then deformation of the fluid is going to stop. It means that the flow is going to stop. So this is the another basic difference between the fluid and solid. So then, what is the fluid? Fluid is that matter which is capable to flow. Fluid is that matter capable to flow. But fluid, it doesn't have any shape. Fluid, it doesn't have any shape, definite shape. But it will take the shape when it is put it in a vessel or in a container, it will take the shape of that container or that vessel. So this is the basic, this is the fluid. So fluid is that substance or that matter which is capable to flow, and it is not having the definite shape, but it takes the shape when it is put it in a container or vessel. And even a small shear force is applied, then it will deform. So this is the basic property of the fluid. Okay, fluid, it is a form of matter, but it flows and it doesn't have any definite shape, but it will take the shape of if it is put it in a container or vessel. And the fluid, it is not having any definite shape. Okay, that is there, and it will take the shape when it is put it in a container or vessel. Then this fluid is also very, very weak in resisting the shear force or shear stress. When any shear force or shear stress applied, it starts deformation. Okay, so this is called fluid. Okay, fluid is what? Fluid is a capable to flow. It doesn't have any definite shape, but it can take the shape when it is put it in that form. That is, if it is put it in a rectangular vessel, it will take the rectangular shape. If it is put it in a square vessel, it will take the square form. Okay, or in the circular ball, it is having the circular shape. Okay, this is the first. Then it is very, very weak in resisting the shear force or shear stress. When any small amount of shear force or shear stress is applied, then it starts deformation. This deformation continues till the applied shear force or shear stress vanishes. Okay. So this is the basic property of the fluid.